Rick. We ran a promotion a while back called Win with Zen. And you guys may remember that's a tobacco alternative that you can pick up at any of your convenience stores or whatever. I think there's more than 100,000 locations that carries in. Well, a big part of that was, hey, if you go ahead and support our show, we're going to make sure that we've got an opportunity for you to join Ric Flair here on the podcast. So we're going to have them get the hot tag here and watch this match with us. Steve, let's roll that beautiful bean footage. Here we are, Mr. Perfect versus Ric Flair from Monday Night Raw, the loser leaves town match. This is going to be fun. Here we go.
This is the match we've all been awaiting. I can't believe Ric Flair last week challenged Mr. Perfect and put his career on the line.
I got to go to ringside. I got to see Flair.
Yeah, yes you do. Bobby Heenan headed up to ringside to greet the Nature Boy, Ric Flair.
They have a little thing going to the side, do they, Vince?
Well, I'll tell you what, it has been a relationship that took Ric Flair to the World Wrestling Federation Championship, and Flair puts it all on the line, and so does Mr. Perfect here tonight on Monday Night Raw, right here on the USA Network.
Kill the audio there, Steve. Rick, what do you think of wrestling in the Manhattan Center, the original home of Monday Night Raw?
Well, I think at that time in your career, anything you do in New York is big, you know what I mean? And this whole thing with Raw was new, and it was exciting for, I think it was exciting for the wrestling business. I mean, not only I just had as much fun. It's not probably, I can't say it was any better than when I was with the Horsemen, but I just had a great time there and was in a great place with those guys and really enjoyed it. And to be part of this live national TV, I mean, it was a big deal.
It is a big deal.
We wanted to be at our best.
I don't think anybody would have ever guessed that Monday Night Raw would go on to be the success it was. Do you think Vince had the vision of it becoming what it became, or did he think it would almost be like this studio wrestling show, at least at first?
I think now that I know Vince and I've been around him for all these years, I think he absolutely thought this would take off.
Let's talk about Mr. Perfect for a minute. It's been said that, when he went down with the back injury, and I think a lot of people watching this remember his fabulous match with Bret Hart at SummerSlam 91, right before you came in. Mm-hmm. He was hurting, and it became a Lloyd's of London situation. And very quickly, the company needed him. They figured something out, and he was back. But a lot of people contend he wasn't the same performer after the back injury. Was that your experience?
Is this after the back injury?
Yes. This would have been 2 years after.
No, I don't think, I wouldn't agree with that assessment. I think Kurt, worked through that. And, when a guy has a bad back, you can't take these flat back bumps like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And Kurt certainly moved around. He was a good athlete to begin with. And see what I mean? That's not a guy that's got a back injury. That's hurting him, in my estimation.
He was known as a legendary prankster. Did you ever find yourself on the end of a bad Mr. Perfect rib?
Yeah, twice.
Tell us about that.
A Rolex in Baltimore, and the other time we won't talk about.
Okay. I love that. I like that they have Bobby Heenan here ringside.
The Rolex in Baltimore for sure.
Wait, is that when you threw it in a bowl of spaghetti?
Absolutely. That's what I was told.
I got 10 more at home that look just like them, something like that.
I think the figure was 13.
Yeah, there you go.
When your wife busted me at Thanksgiving.
I mean, she had an eye for watches even back then. Did she
yeah,
not?
Dad, that's not the same watch. Yeah, it is, honey.
It was round diamonds versus baguettes or something like that. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What 12-year-old notices that?
A spoiled one who got Louis Vuitton purses when she was 5.
Yeah. So she might have been 18 then. Even though that's probably what it was. She might have been 18.
Yeah. We see the big banner in the background, Ico Pro. You ever try Ico Pro back then?
I did. We all did.
What'd you think?
It dissolved like every other chemical in my body at that time. By chemical, I mean, I'm talking about
Sure.
my reference in alcohol.
Of course.
No chemicals, thank God.
Although these days, a little Ric Flair drip will do you just fine.
Absolutely. My God, it'll turn you into a different person.
I can't wait till it's legal here in Alabama.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't have, I can bring it to you.
The Observer really liked this. They said Titan pulled a coup out in the way they handled this. First off, they established Monday Night Raw as a television show with the angle on January 18th, and then the blow off of a major feud on TV the next week. Flair's WWF departure was explained within storyline when on January 18th, he lost a loser leaves town match with Mr. Perfect for the January 25th airing. It will look as though Flair lost his job with the WWF and had no choice but to return to WCW, which established once again that WCW is a second-rate circuit. I don't know whether or not Flair had the choice and how to handle this departure like this with his release, but this particular clean job in a match that will be viewed by millions rather than a few thousand hardcores in a few cities, many of whom don't take wins and losses seriously, will have an effect on Flair's image upon his return. So that take from Meltzer kind of surprises me. Did you think losing to Mr. Perfect here was going to hurt your value with WCW? I know Ole Anderson agreed with Dave, but I'm kind of shocked to see Dave say that.
Well, that's probably because Dave wasn't looking at the ratings that WCW had at that time.
Right.
And certainly we couldn't have been looking at the house show revenue. They weren't drawing a dime.
It's interesting too, because I think, even though you're going to, come back to WCW, you don't wind up wrestling for WCW right away. You're instead going to start with the whole Flair for the Gold thing. What was the circumstance with that?
I really, to be honest with you, I can't really remember, but it worked for me. If I didn't have to wrestle and could make money and have fun, why not? Right. So
and you get to hang around Wendy a little bit.
Yeah, I got to hang around Wendy. I was with Arn. We just had fun.
Yeah. I want to mention that even though this match is going to go down as a loser leaves town match, it's filmed on the 18th. It airs on the 25th. You're actually still technically not done. And Vince McMahon at the conclusion of this match will say that the commissioner, Jack Tunney, he has said that you have to honor. Look at that bump
that bump from Kurt. See, that's not a guy that's
not a hurt back situation. Yeah.
No.
My goodness.
If it was hurt, he really sucked it up and pulled it off.
The Ric Flair tour still continues though. After this, you're going to do lots of individual shots like Madison Square Garden. You're going to work with Mr. Perfect on the 29th. There's 12,000 folks there. Mm-hmm. On the 30th, once again, you'll be working with Mr. Perfect in Providence, Rhode Island. And that show was right after Andre the Giant had passed away. So they did like a little 10-bell salute for him. Mm-hmm. New Haven, Connecticut. Shout out to Steve Patty. He was there, part of our Save with Conrad team. You are once again wrestling.
God, look at those punches. Are you kidding? Wouldn't you die to see that today? See, look at Kurt bumping around.
Super balling around is very, you can tell that Dolph Ziggler was inspired, Mm-hmm. You guys did a matinee show on the 31st, you and Mr. Perfect on top in Toronto at the Maple Leaf Gardens. I just found it fascinating that even though you lost here, you continued through a tour of England, working with Brett, usually in the main event, usually on top, one stop in Germany for the Big Boss Man. And then I think the last time that we would see you in a WWF ring for many years was in Germany against Brett in the main event, February 10th, 1993, 13,000 fans. It's pretty crazy to think about that. You're working with The Undertaker on your way out and Bret Hart in main events. And now you're going to WCW where candidly, they weren't selling 13,000 tickets anytime soon.
No.
I wish you guys would have had a longer feud, you and Mr. Perfect. I know you had quite a few matches on the house show circuit, but on TV.
Kurt and I we probably only worked together about 3 or 4 times before this. So we just kind of been back then. I went, me, I didn't like that till I knew how the crowd was going to react. But see how Kurt took his time. He just selling.
Yeah.
Always hurrying. And in real life, if someone punches you in the solar plexus, it's going to slow you down.
Yeah.
It doesn't today.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think best I can see, you guys work together.
Well, see, no, we're both heels too here. You know that. You realize that, right?
Yes.
They're trying to turn Kurt Babyface merely by bringing him in to help Tito. You know what I mean? But
yeah, I mean, I think they tried to make him a babyface back at Survivor Series in November. But your point is, he's a 2-month babyface at this point.
Yeah, so it's not like he's Steve Austin,
right?
In terms of popularity. So we're kind of fighting for this, just trying to get a good match out of it. I don't think the crowd was, really, dying to see which one of us won, but it's just fun working with Kurt. Anybody that works that hard and puts his time and effort into it. Plus, too, I've been friends with his dad. I mean, so much. When I look at the history of my relationships with people, like, I just saw Barry, and you have no idea how close his dad and I were. You know what I mean? It's funny. And now I get to do this stuff with Charlotte this weekend, and I mean, I maybe, Conrad, you correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know of any other father-daughter scenario in the history of the business that had this kind of
no, I don't think so.
That have had these runs not only as individuals but have the opportunities to do things like we're doing Saturday, and we'll have a lot more of them in the future.
It's a lot like what Charlotte said with Steve Austin on Broken Skull Sessions, that sometimes when you guys are together and being silly or goofy, they're going to need a whole wing for us. I mean, together, look at the hardware you guys have collected. Yeah,
well, and and she's being facetious, but we both have worked hard. She has tremendous work ethic. I think I did too. I mean, I'm certainly going to be always remembered for the fun I had in the business, but I don't think anybody can ever say I didn't work hard.
Oh no, man! If you just look up the NWA touring schedule back in the day, I mean, that went viral a few years ago. Your schedule in '85 and then '86. I mean, it's unbelievable.
And that's when it was slowed down compared to 81, 82, and 3. Is that amazing?
I think this is actually your fourth match in the ring with Kurt. I see where you guys did a show in '85 in Portland for Don Owen.
Yeah, that's when Kurt was first started working. You know what I mean? So I can tell by looking at myself that I was clearly out all night the night before.
I think
it was New York.
I mean, hey, it's part of it, right? And your favorite stomping hole up there, is that Smith and Walensky's? Is that right?
Well, that is now. I mean, the hunting fish is now because it's my friend Etan was that. But in the day, it was a China Club back then.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. The famous Nasty Boy store where they kept my credit card and kicked me out.
Meltzer would say, while no contract has been signed, Flair received a release from the WWF contract that expires in September that would allow him to join WCW after February 15th. He'll be finishing up all scheduled matches against Brett and Perfect, and his last day is expected to be around February 8th after completion of the European tour. And we know here he is. By the way, just to give everybody some heads up, you're going to turn 44 on February 25th. So a month after this airs. So when this is happening and Vince is coming to you and saying, we're going with the younger guys, you're only 43 years old. These days, that's a pup in the business, is it not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, I was just thinking, it's amazing if the kids stay healthy, how much longer they can get out of their career and make big money. And I mean, that's that's the key thing. It's to take care of yourself. They don't have to abuse themselves like we used to back there. And obviously I abused myself, but it's what made me tick. I don't have any excuses for it. I could be dead tired, but I could not go to bed in a big city without having fun.
Yeah. Look at you setting up the figure 4 here. I'm sure Bobby the Brain Heenan's losing his mind.
See, look at Kurt shaking his head and all that.
Yeah.
Kurt
he's
is
selling
really
like
selling.
crazy.
I mean, that's what it's all about.
Yes.
You put the figure 4 on, you just lay there and don't move. I mean, what does that mean? And every time I grab the rope, watch him. He's smart enough to understand. I probably am giving him the office. When I pull the rope, he's either going flat or he's dying. I mean, it's a different time. Kurt was really an accomplished performer.
What a great job Mr. Hebner's doing too, making sure he's never looking when you're doing what you're doing.
That's the best, my driver.
Meltzer would say the WWF party line story is that McMahon a few weeks back asked Flair, who will turn 44 on February 25th, to retire to a front office position because he respected Flair's talents and his position as one of the sports legends so much that he couldn't see him become a preliminary wrestler, but he could no longer use him on top. Quote, that story is hard to fathom because it didn't happen.
Absolutely. It was never offered. I don't think I've ever fit into the front office scenario. Certainly not in the 40s.
Meltzer would also say losing Flair has become a very divisive issue within Titan. However, since the company's stated goal was to improve the wrestling quality, and Flair was still one of the best 2 or 3 workers in the promotion, which has little depth when it comes to quality workers who can headline. So, I mean, that I do remember that being a thing. You know, you won the Wrestler of the Year in the Wrestling Observer Reader Awards. You were carrying the promotion here with Hulk Hogan largely gone.
This year I did. This year I did.
Yeah. I mean, 92, dude, you were the guy. Look at you.
Remember that.
Damn dirty cheater. If it's not brass knuckles, it's some sort of foreign object.
Damn it all. It worked for me 2 weeks ago, too.
Hypothetically, where did those knucks wind up from Nashville?
Those? In a bowl of spaghetti like my Rolex.
What a fun time, man. Look at the crowd. They know they're seeing something special. I mean, a loser leaves town match was not a common stipulation in this era.
No. That guy was so great. God.
Let's talk a little bit about Bobby Heenan for a minute. We just saw him there, and you even got Bobby Heenan to accompany you to a few more matches. I think that when that originally happened, Bobby tapped out pretty quickly. He did not want to be Nathan all night long, right?
Yeah, he said he didn't want to be traveling with Larry Flint. Uh-oh, I'm getting Kurt the Hulk up here, but God forbid.
It's such a subtle thing, but man, fans really responded to it back then. You know it? By the way, I want to mention this got a 2.6 rating. Meltzer would call it a major disappointment, particularly being the first television show one day after a pay-per-view. And it was actually down from Flair Santana the previous week at 2.8. But he thought the match here, which wound up being about 18 minutes, was a 4-star match. And of course, Vince can't help but have a parting shot here on commentary. He's going to say, quote, it's all down here. It's all downhill from here for Ric Flair, which, you know, I get. He's going to the competition, but still.
Of course. I had no problem with that.
No, I am curious.
It's just business.
Do you think this would have been possible if it happened during the Nitro era? Like, would Vince have let you go to the competition if this was 2.5 years later and Nitro was around? I don't know.
At that age?
Yeah.
No. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
No, maybe that's just my, maybe that's my ego too. I don't know. Maybe it would. I don't know.
Track it, Steve. This is the finish.
Perfect flash 1, 2, yes, he got it. He got it. Mr. Perfect victorious. Bobby Heenan has thrown Ric Flair's career away. It's your fault, Bobby Heenan.
But you know what reminds me of him a little bit in terms of energy
Who?
is McAfee.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
And McAfee has the same kind of energy Bobby does.
I agree.
And you know what? I don't know. I know you and I talk about it a lot, but Bobby Heenan was a great worker. And McAfee, if McAfee worked full time,
He'd be great.
Would be a great worker.
Yes.
I mean, he's got the instinct to be anything he wanted to be. I mean, it obviously doesn't need the money and not going to do it full time, but McAfee could be a hell of a hand.
McAfee has succeeded at everything he's tried in his life. He's a rare breed.